Hello, 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 everybody. I can see there's a couple of you in the chat. Okay, so we've got 1 minute to go before it hooks on. First off, I'm Geraldine Rose. Not my real last name, but one can never be too safe on the internet nowadays. So I picked Rose. Hello, Color Love and Canuck. And Justin Canuck. Hi, guys. Um, Anyways, I picked Rose because it is the flower for my birth month. And you'll notice my sound cut in and out because I looked out the window to see the garden that I've got outside. Now, we live in British Columbia in the BC Cascade Mountains, and we are experiencing our first heat wave. Hello, Ludu! Our first heat wave of the year. So I've got a fan in the hallway. I don't know if you can pick it up. We've got the air conditioner turned off right now, but I'm already pretty roasted. Liz, hello! NPM Brooks, hi guys, yes. Thanks, Liz, too, because I missed yours yesterday. But now my cards typically, because I do a lot of mixed media, they take me 3 to 6 hours to do. And because we have 2 hour blocks, I streamlined it a little bit. So I've done a bunch of die cutting and some other stuff behind the scenes. You're under a freeze warning, Liz. You mean like dropping below freezing point? My goodness. We're going to hit 29 or 30 today Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but I would think it's up around 85, 90. Oh my gosh. Anyway, where were we? Roses garden, picked that because one of my favorite flowers. Oh, the time frame. Yes. So I've done a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, just like die cutting and things like that, so that we can get through things. And my cards, there's usually a catastrophe at some point, and then I have to figure something else out and go in another direction. So I don't have a set plan on what we're going to do. We're just going to slap some quick mixed media together, make a couple of Mother's Day cards, hopefully. And so let's get started. So the things that I'm using, Simon Says Stamp, their mom die set, the Altenew Elegant Swirl stencil for one. I'm using their picture vases with both the die cut, the stencils, and then also the embossing folder for both of them. I'm doing frames, so I have the Spellbinders frames, and I also have the Altenew picture frames. For the flowers, I'm going to keep the flowers the same on both, so we have the cute open rose. And then for the background for them, this is one of the one goes. It's the ornamental poppies, but I'm just using this portion and I have cut it out to get the parts that I want. And then just for the sentiments, it was some stuff from Close to My Heart. You can't get these anymore. Stamper Girl! First off, yes, we have to give a shout out to Stamper Girl, who is Dully's. And she is the one that has organized this all for us. This is the Broke Bank Craft Along. And as for those of us that were unable to go to the Simon Says Stamp Create, I think it's Simon Says Stamp that does Create, isn't it? Anyways, it's down in the US. And so those of us up here in Canada be very difficult to get to. And in the US, I understand it was really expensive for you guys. Christina, hello. And Susan, oh my gosh, look at you all. And then the other sentiment that I was using for the mum, one's going to have the Simon Says Stamp mum on it, and the other's going to have the Spellbinders Happy Mother's Day. And I've already foiled that out so that we're kind of a little bit easier to go. All right, so I'm going to shove this stuff aside and see if I can remember what direction we're going in first. Okay, still throwing aside. And throwing aside. Okay. Now I have an open window and I'm pulling some alcohol inks out. Everybody, when you're using alcohol inks, make certain you are in a very well ventilated area. I'm sitting right next to our window. It's on the third floor in, I guess, what technically is our attic. So I'm not too worried right now about what is going to happen. And so I want to get the alcohol ink on my gold glitter stock so that it dries in time. and I can die cut it out to get the mum out of it. And that's going to be the inset portion. So we're just going to throw a medley of colors on there in the reds and the oranges, because I kind of thought I was going to do that card a little bit more dramatic. And I have to remember everybody to look up and watch the chat. Yes, this has been since last fall that I've actually done a live. And I am out of practice. I'm just going to move it around a little bit, giving it the puffs of air. A lot of people use the Yupo photo paper for the alcohol inks. I'm not terribly good at it, but you can get some really neat effects with it to make your focal die cut stand out a little bit better. And so I'll just drop in a couple more. If you use the alcohol, you can splatter it across the top, and it as well is going to give you a speckledy pattern and drive those inks away. And I think we just need to touch up into that area just a wee bit. We'll just give it a tap. There, deepen it up. We're just going to set that guy aside to dry now. Okay, and cleaning up, because the next portion, actually I'll just flip that around. I'm going to do some sani smooshing. So you take hand sanitizer and you splooch it on your surface. Because this has got alcohol in it, it will work with the alcohol inks, and it's going to give you an extra texture on your paper when you pick it up. So this is the one that I'm going to use for the leaves, and we're going to set this aside to dry. And so same thing, put your hand sanitizer down, sprinkle your alcohol inks on. Don't do too many colors because they will get muddy if you mix too many. So I'm using 2 green tones this time. If I were to put a dash of red in here, it would most likely turn into like a mud brown situation. And checking, hello, Carrie. So we're just giving it a dab of, this is alcohol blending solution. This does help everything to merge up when you're using with the alcohol inks. And I just have a panel. This is hammer mill cardstock. So basically, when you're sani smooshing, you just put it down in and squish it, and you're going to see it start coming up through the cardstock. That's what you want. And if I've got the hand sanitizer on thick enough, when we pull this up, we should get some neat patterns. And we didn't. Okay. Let's dab in different sections. See, that's what we're wanting, because it gives a different texture to the alcohol inks. And you just keep dabbing in. It's like ink smooshing, except with sanitizer and alcohol inks. And I like the way that that's sitting. So I'm going to set that aside to dry and get that out of the way. Okay. Let me just clean up my station here, guys and gals. And I'm trying to think of what I've got to do next. It might help if I bring in the cards that I was using. So sorry, this is my mind being a little OCD. I originally had it arranged on the other side, and so my mind is saying, oh, it has to be in that pattern again. So I thought we would do one card a little bit more dramatic and the other one a little bit lighter in tones. Some mums are drama mamas, and some like really intense colors, and others like the softer tones. So this is the one that we'll use for the softer tones. And everybody, I'm just going to give a shout out back to Carrie Sheridan. I don't have affiliate links. Carrie is one of my crafty besties. We're in the Altenew program together. She is an educator, as is Liz. Liz is an educator as well too. Um, we all try supporting each other, and because Carrie has been there for me behind the scenes quite a bit. Oh, so are you, Carrie. I put Carrie Sheridan's affiliate links in the description if anybody is going to go. Liz, the OCD channel, you do all those cars though with all the engineering, you have to be OCD. Oh my goodness. I have a really bad case of perfectionism that I've battled my entire life, and I joke that it's OCD, but it is more of a perfectionist thing. Okay. So for this one, this is the one we want to go light on, and I'm grabbing out some of the Altenew embossing paste, and I also have the Ranger embossing glazes. I also have some of the solar paste, and I'm just doing really light tones with their orange, their pink, and their green. And as well, first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put an underlayer on. So the stencil, see, this is like when JC arranges his card exactly in the little spot on his mat too. So you can see that, yeah, I've got it. But I'm going to find where I want that swirl. And because the make art was up there, I had to turn it around. I also have a tub of water down below so that I can just take this stencil off after and just dip it immediately in that water and let it soak so that I don't have to worry about it right now while we are here. And I'm just trying to think, what colors am I going to do? Okay, so let's do some soft pinks on this one and greens. A little bit more green. How about a dusty pink? Yeah, sure, why not? And why don't we go for one of the oranges? As you can see, I didn't plan this at all. We're doing the typical, gee, where's it going to go? And as I said, usually I have one catastrophe per session, and then I giggle about it because then I have to find ways of getting my way around it. All right, so I am laying on some ink. I don't care if it's blended well. This is the underlayer. Chances are it's mostly going to get covered up, and I'm going to put the darker tones down at the bottom because it's another case of perspective in that when you look at things, when they're closer to you, they appear darker and they have much more clarity to them. So the farther away they go, they get lighter in tone and they get a little bit more fuzzed out. So that is why I am going to lay the pinks on up at the top, and we'll mix in a little bit the analogous colors next to each other. It's not going to matter too much, but I'm going to have to be careful when I bring these greens in because, again, these mixing with the other tones, they will create a mud situation. And grab some brighter pink and a stamper. Oh, after you're gone, well, you're going to have them for many, many years, though. Hello, Kalinda. Good to see you in. Cussing me. My God, it looks like it's never been used. Oh, I've got one that is an all in create one. I love that one. And yeah, you can tell it's been through a couple of the war zones. Okay, so I'm still trying to block it in so that we've got the pinks clustered through next to each other. And let's get a green mini blending brush out, and we'll do a little touch of green down here. We still got a couple of white spots. I like to put things kind of in blocks of 3, so I've got green here, here. I can bring a little bit in up through here. And this is the lighter green, so this is the one that we're going to bring towards the top. The lighter colors too, you do have to build them up a little bit because they're so light in tone that they don't look like you've got much down when you're putting them down. Now, and as well, these inks will dry back. They've all got a smoothing agent in them that causes them to smooth out as they dry. So even if you have a really ratchety blending, they're going to smooth out somewhat. Now, what I'm doing is I'm going to create a shadow layer and I am going to shift my stencil over. So I want part of what we've just done peeking out. So I just got to realign here. Looking good so far. Well, thank you. Warzone. I'm funny in that I am one of those crafters. I clean up pretty much between each stage. I don't like mess. And the fact that my desk has got all the supplies on it right now, I'm just like, just live with it. Just live with it. It's okay. All right. So you can see that that's where we were originally. And I'm just going to shift it over about an eighth of or so inch. And I'm just trying to think of what direction. No, I want to go the other direction. There we are. So you're going to see like a shadow of the stencil, and some of the color is not going from the ink is not going to get covered up, and it will stand out a little bit better. Now we're going to grab some paste out. Going to grab one of our spatulas. Oh, Carrie, oh my goodness, that finger painting that you guys did. Oh, that would have been just wonderful. That sort of stuff I don't mind. I don't mind getting my hands in and messing with stuff like that. But it's just the mess around me that I've got a little bit of trouble with. And Christina, uh, clean crust behind. Yeah, I've taken over the closet, Christina. We had to move some of our pantry stuff down because I needed space for my crafting supplies. And with this being on the upper floor, the third floor up here, we found that the food was getting too hot and our protein bars actually melted. So what I've done is I've put some of the embossing paste down and I am going to, what colors? I want to put some pink in there. Now you can also use your re-inkers to do this, or you can dab your ink down the parrot because they do lighten out a little bit as they blend in on the paste. I'm going to use the darker green because the other one, the aloe vera one, which is a very light one, is probably not going to show up. And let's just make certain we've got a thing ready. Okay, and so then you can color your paste by just adding ink in, adding your re-inkers in. You can use acrylic paint. And I am just doing a rough mix. I don't care that it's going to have streaks in it because this is mixed media. There are no rules in mixed media. If it makes you happy and it looks good to your eye, you're good to go. Okay, so we've got a pink and we have got the green. And because we do have that orange, you see, and now I've got too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that out and bring the orange in there. And hello, Linda. Susan, I think there's a few of us Canucks in here. I am. Of course, my husband is. We know that just a Canuck is color loving Canuck. Yeah, there's a whole community that we've got here. People that I knew from the crops when I did go to the crops, and then when COVID hit. Hello, Anne Marie. Anne Marie. Oh, you are. Mm, I can't remember if you're Eastern Canada or if you're in Norway or Sweden. Um, but yeah, we've got quite a few people up here that craft, and as I was trying to say, I don't go to the crop so much anymore because since COVID, I, like Amy Rusavi and Kathy Zilski, have social anxiety, and I don't like going out if I don't have to. Oh yes, Kalinda, brilliant, brilliant. Yes, yes, that's the whole thing about having them move out so that you can finally have a Norway. I knew it was somewhere that's over in the Scandinavian type of areas. So I think I am going to take the green because it's the lightest one up the top. And same thing, I'm not going to have any rhyme or reason to where I'm putting it beyond the fact that I'm just laying the color down. And I'm going to wipe off in between each just so that I don't overblend them too much. Now, that's a cool look too, but we don't always want that. And we'll get the orange down here last. And you don't have to cover everything. Just do it however you feel. So we're going to throw that in the garbage because, of course, once you've got a color mixed into it, it is contaminated and you cannot put it back in. I do have one little container of embossing glazes and powders that is completely mixed because I figure at Halloween I'm going to do some kind of a gothic, see, catastrophe. Making a big old mess. Anyways, at Halloween, I'm going to do like a Frankenstein type of card and just mix everything together. Okay, we are going for stencil reveal here, everybody. Ta-da! And second catastrophe. But luckily with this, you can recover it quite easily. Okay, that's going down into the water right away. Jer is wiping her old make heart, which you can see has done its time too. I like it because it's the one magnetic mat that I do have. I've got a Tim Holtz mat underneath my, this is actually a cutting mat, but it works well for filming because it's a translucent color and it's got a matte surface so that it doesn't reflect the lights which are up overhead. I've got one side, one and two, ones up above. And trust me, when we are in our first heat wave of the season and you're in menopause and it's 29 degrees out, it's pretty warm in here. The reason why I wear long sleeves is because I'm on blood thinners. If anybody's ever wondered that, and I unfortunately have a lot of bruises always all over me. So I just don't think anybody wants to look at that. Okay, so we are going to get out some of the embossing paste, glazes, and we're going to sprinkle it down kind of in the areas where the colors were laid down, but not across the entire panel. And because the embossing paste is still wet, it is going to stick to it. I also have trouble getting those lids back on. It's something to do with the way that the metal is. And Susan, you're buffering. Oh, Angelique, hello. No, never too late. A queen arrives always just on time. I think that was from Princess Brides, wasn't it? It keeps you in camera tray. Yeah, this is just an old webcam, Susan. And so I don't have too many options for zooming. It's basically, this is just kind of picking up the desk. And you can see as it's going towards the TV monitor, which is what I use, old lady eyes. I can have the TV monitor as my computer monitor, and then it's easier for me to see. All right, so we've got some of those in, and I am also going to give it just a wee sprinkle. This is some of the Altenew. This is the rose gold. Such a pretty color. So we'll tuck her down in there. And if you tap from underneath, you can bounce it. But usually, if you shake back and forth, it's going to pick up along the edges. And then we will get out our heat gun. And Sorry, I think I might take this off camera so that you guys are actually able to hear something, because I'm not certain about muting right now and then not being able to get each other back. Linda, it's this is the Altenew Rose Gold embossing powder. Hold on. Hello, Meta. Hello. Few people from over in Europe for us right now. So, yes, this was the embossing powder in rose gold. And then these two were the Ranger. These are embossing glazes. These ones are transparent. This one is a metallic in a very pretty color. So, oh, and just to tell you too, you can either wait till it's dry to melt the embossing powder or embossing glazes. Or if you do it now, you can actually cause like a bubble effect. I'm all about the bubble effect because I think it's funny that it does like come up and has such random effects on it. So that's probably why I am being childlike and just having the joy of, hey, if you do this, your supplies will do this, and then you get another use out of using your powders, and it's just such a cool effect. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of dragging my finger along the edge just to get some of those little embossing paste edges. Oh, well, thank you, Christina. What color is the orange? So, Dali's, which orange? This is saltwater taffy. We used a Snapdragon ink, but the saltwater taffy, because it's a very corally peachy pink, it can actually look orange at times. And with it being over top of the other ones that we put down first with the stencil, it might help to pick up some of it. Now, the embossing powder, this is very similar to Ranger's one too, just not their crackle paste, but just their normal texture paste in the opaque. The Altenew one has got a smoother consistency. It's got a bit of a smell, but I like it just because it spreads out so well. And I'm just catching up. Love the bubble effect. Yay, dollies. We're all about the random, aren't we? Angelique, I've had this paint gun. Oh, I think it's about 15 years old now. It's still going. Okay, and once you see it starting to bubble, move it, because you do not want to overheat your paper. When you have embossing powder that you're doing, same thing. When you see it melt, move on, because you can actually melt it down into your cardstock and it will cause it to dull out. Or you can start your paper smoking. And ask me how I know that one. Yeah, it's a cool effect, isn't it, Angelique? See, and I saw the bubble come up on that section, so we're moving on. Now, I sometimes will leave the embossing glaze half done. As long as it's sticking in the paste, I don't mind. There. Sorry about that, everybody. But it's over. So as I was saying, you can melt them and you can see how it's transparent. And of course, the embossing powder has metallicized out. But with the glazes, if you don't do them all the way, they will dry, stuck into the paste, and it's like a velvet texture that they get. So it is a matte appearance versus the glossy appearance. So, okay. All right. We're happy with that so far. So let's throw this aside. And we're putting her back in because sorry, everybody. I realized that I needed that stencil again. Catastrophe number 3. And microfiber cloths for the win. Yay! I have a few of these hanging underneath my desk. They've got like little holes in their hooks. And I've got a, a hook that I hang it on the side. Excuse me. They have little holes in their tags. And I've got a hook that I hang it on the side. And so I am just getting this dry enough so that I can lay down a little bit of the solar paste, which I didn't want to get embossed because I want the gleam across the surface. So I'm just going to chuck that down again. All right, let's check our orientation. I think we've got that over on the other side. Okay, so we can lay it back down in the same spot, or I can shift it again. Now we shifted over this way, so I have to come over a little bit more here. And come on, bottom. Just a wee titch this time. Okay. Now, if you're doing an ink smooshed background that you have embossed with an embossing folder, when you use like one of the translucent crackle pastes from Ranger in combination with the solar paste, you will get an opalescent effect, and it is really pretty. You'll never be able to duplicate it twice, but there's been a couple of times where I've had it and it has ended up glowing like an oyster shell, and I love that because I'm all about this shiny, shiny, bling, bling. And okay, you need to heat it. Stamper, I found the Ranger does bubble up more than the Altenew embossing paste, so we're just gonna put a little bit, just a couple of highlights of these. Now, I don't know if we're going to get both cards done, but we're going to try. And now this is not contaminated, so I'm putting it back in because that was the only one we used so far. Okay, setting that one aside, wiping you off. You can go aside. See, look at this. See, she's cleaning up already. Most of the stuff I've got so that I can reach it from my desk. Some of the pastes and powders are behind me, though, in the wall. And we do a craft room tour every couple of years. What color have I got? Orange? Okay, just kind of coordinating it in the areas. They will blend with each other. Kind of liking the effect that already is there, so I don't want to mess with that too much. And maybe just a wee bit up in that top corner. Okay, let's tuck it in there. Okay, set that one aside. Wipe your blade spatula off, and the green for the last one. And then we're going to set this panel aside to dry a little bit, because actually is no, the other one was the shaker card. No, actually, I lied. We're possibly going to do something with this right away. Okay. So I find with mixed media that I just keep layering and layering. I make my back layers the lightest, and then I typically will have a mid ground and then a foreground. And I just change the tones as it comes forward, but I try keeping the same color blends through. So that's our panel that we're going to set on the card. So I'm just going to put this somewhere safe so that Yoo-hoo doesn't knock it and do something to it. And already fussing with the sides, trying to take the little tails off. And it's like, don't worry about it. You can just chop them off later. Or just leave them for the texture. Okay. Cleaning up our station. Setting that aside. And what do we got next? Okay. I've already die cut out the 2 pictures from that Alta News picture set. And here we go. So this is the embossing folder. I've already used that on the background for this one. And the stencils that go with it, we will be using them. And then picture on that side. Got it. Okay. Oh, I'm going to have such a mess to clean up afterwards. My hubby will come in and he's like, how's it going, hon? I'm like, making a big old mess. So this is the one that we need. So they have the die cut, the folder, and the stencil with it. And for this one, I'm just going to do a little bit of ink smooshing because our picture is going to hold one of those open roses and it's going to be in the front. And I'm just trying to grab out my old mat. So we'll get our mister out. Now, the surface that you're putting your ink down on, it matters quite a bit. If I were to use it on this mat in the background, it's a smoother surface and it will just do a wash across the entire piece of cardstock that you are smooshing. If you do it on one of the mats, and there are several, I've got an old Close to My Heart. There's these ones. There's a few others out there. It will bead up and you can pretend that you are doing along the bottom of the picture. And this one, because we have got more of an angular picture, we're going to try getting along the side. Okay, good. And grab out the heat gun. Hello, Roberta. Yes, Angelique. We got a shaker card ready to go, too. And for ink smooshing, wet on wet blends, dry or wet on dry is the one where you get more of the splotchities on there. And that is the one that I need a titch more orange on. So we'll go in with another layer over top of the others. Not as much up towards the top. Okay, and this one I was going to bring pink in on it. So let's get some of the blush rose out for that. We'll give that a miss to beat it. Some people will drag their fingers through it too. My fingers end up getting quite inky, but I still don't really kind of like dragging my fingers through it, so I don't tend to as much. And we've moved it up so that we're kind of targeting another zone so that it's not fully on top of the orange that we've laid down already. And most handles are colored, so we'll get the handle as well too. And that is the one thing I forgot to do on this guy, so we'll have to drag him back through that side. There we go. And give that a wipe up. Just give this another blast with the heat gun to dry it. Okay, and you can see I actually dragged some there, so now I've got to compensate for that. So we might bring in some of the lighter pink, which is the dusty pink, and just touch up along the top there where I dragged the edge. How are we doing on time? 2:39. Okay. I haven't made these cards. I actually don't know how long they take to make. but we'll get done when we get done. Oh, I like that. Okay. So you see that one, it's more of a wash and it's coming down through the picture. And there's a part of me that's wanting to put pink down here too, but it's like, don't mess with it. Listen to your intuition. I have a horrible tendency always to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. And I just need to stop. And it's like telling me, okay, just stop. It's good. So that is fine. I'll just give it a couple of quick dabs with what we've got left there. And that is so light you can barely tell it that it is even there. Oh, catastrophe. What's that? Number 4? Not that anybody's counting, right? Ellen, hello. Yeah. Ellen, the hand sanitizer, that is something that I saw with Sharon Luska. So I let Sharon know that, Sharon, I'm going to try that out. And I'll bring over the dried pieces pretty quick and show you how they end up looking. She created an absolutely phenomenal wood grain doing that. Now, I'm not going to put any green down on these because most jugs, you tend to think of them as in the earthenware colors, like a terracotta, or if they're glazed, they'll have gold highlights on them, which is something that we might be doing pretty quick. But what I am going to do, now that we've got some color down on them, I am going to run them through individually with the embossing folder to get them embossed. And I do it individually because I've got an old big shop that is kind of on its last days. It's about 15 years old as well. And it's pushing everything through to the bottom. So we're just trying to make certain that things don't migrate too badly. And I don't like myself putting tape in behind them to hold them into the folder, because the part of the tape that sticks over top of your cardstock, it sometimes can leave an impression in there. And because this is one of the lighter cardstocks, this is the Hammer Mill, it just might do that. So, okay. See if I can remember the sandwich for this guy now. Some of the thinner ones. So I do have the universal plate system. I do have spares, but I am being thrifty and not replacing them yet. So I use, on the cutting plate that I put aside, I use my old dryer sheets. It does help with the fuzzies around the edges. And so for this one, nope, not enough. Took out my bottom one, and I am just going to slightly angle it because I've got the ability to do that with this one. Yeah, that's better. You want to try running them through at an angle if you can. I've got some that won't because they're so wide that if I turn them, they won't fit through this old big shot. But it does help the rollers if you can have it so that the die or the folder is not hitting the rollers all at once. So here's our first emboss. We're going to put him down. We're going to tuck the second guy in. And once you've die cut them out, they will pretty much slot into place. I tend to die cut first and then emboss, because then if you emboss and then die cut, then you have to re-emboss because it will flatten your image a little bit. Okay. And here we are with the angular one, number 2, and that is going on that side. I'm going to tuck old pink away to the side again. And these guys, I need this out again. I'm going to grab my Versamark now. Still need this. Still need this. Somebody's cleaning. How she goes. Because I'm going to take the Versamark, and this is the one that I don't use for doing sentiments or the white ones. So this is the one that I use for dragging, just in case it picks up ink. So I don't mind that it's a little bit dirty, but I'm going to lightly touch it down and just drag across the part that is embossed and the bottom edging. And then the other thing that we're going to get is along the handle for where it is going to have the metallic if it were to have been glazed. So same thing, just bring it up, drag from the bottom, and we get this out. And this, I use these papers so that I can funnel back in. And on this one, I am just going to use a little bit of the rose gold embossing powder. I just tap it back into the jar right away. And you can brush this off if you don't like the pattern that it ends up having. Okay. And put your cap back on. Tell me, why do we do that? It's because otherwise you will spill it all over the place. Ask me how I know. Because you think you have it in a safe spot over towards your upper edge, and you pull something out and it ends up banging it, and then you have stuff all over the place. I have an under mat underneath the desk here too, and it's a good thing I did, because I had one of my red mica inks from Ranger. The top came off of it and we spilled the red mica ink. Oh my gosh, that was, yeah, that looked like a murder zone. It was like Halloween in here. Okay, top back on. Heat gun again. Now I'm heating from underneath with this chunkier one, because it tends to fly up with those big chunks. Once it gets hot enough, I will move around to the front. And I just didn't like how that one was sitting. Okay. Pictures are embossed. I concentrated it along the bottom so that when we put the sprigs in the top, that the embossing won't get covered over. And you can see that these ones have slits in them so that you can insert flowers and stuff the way that you would in a real vase. This one, you're just going to tuck it behind because it doesn't have that slit. But I like that effect. I thought they were quite smart in thinking that out. All right, what do we got next? Now, you can take the stencil for this and go back in and just give it a little bit of highlight in areas that you want to. And I'm almost thinking it's time to get out my Wilbur. Ode to JC. JC has Wilbur as well. It's what he calls his sticky grid. And I asked if it was because of the pig in Charlotte's Web, and he said, no, it's just what everybody voted. And I'm just catching up to Angelique, 2 Versamarks. Yeah, dirty one, clean one, right? Yeah. Oh, and definitely that was a huge mess when I spilled that. And it's my own fault. If you've seen my videos, you realize that I will take the top off and I will tap them out quite a bit just to get the splatters from them, because when you spray, you have less control. And I'll use the spray nozzle for when I'm doing a whole panel and I want to run the mica spray down. But in that instance, yeah, I had taken the top off to tap some out, and yeah, it didn't go well. Okay, I am lining this up. Now, with this little flower, it kind of reminds me of that one Men in Black movie where they have that monster that has the little flower growing out of his head. Jeff, the one that was in the subway. But I hold it down with my fingernail so that it doesn't go back and forth and shift on you. And I'm just catching an idea of where I want to do this. I want to make it appear as if it is more of a rounded object. So I am going to bring it in. I'll just a little bit of brush along the sides, and I'm just using what is left on the blending brush to do that. So it'll give it a little bit of shading there. And the neck, because that's the part where it is narrowed in, we'll give it a little bit more too. Okay. And shift her over. These stencils as well, you can use them for when you do want to do like a Wedgwood style pattern on it. You can use this for doing the blue or for putting your gold on. You can dab your Versamark down through, and that's how you can get it looking as if you've actually glazed it with a Wedgwood or a Delft pattern through there. And I need a darker tone. Okay. I am going in with a little bit darker. Back to the orange one again. And the flower. What are we doing the flower in? We'll do him. I think this one's going to end out in shades of peach. Okay. So that is picture number 1. And number 2. So we'll just do the same thing again. We're going to add shading along the bottom and the sides so that it does appear a little bit more of a cylinder. And that is my orange. And now this one, because this is a straight-sided one, I am going to brush more just up and down. Okay. And shifting it over. Let's catch that handle. And the other side. Oh, that was for the other pen. Oops, somebody messed up. Oh, well, it's okay. No, it's not. She has to fix it. That would be my perfectionism. Pink. Let's do just a slight bit of pink. Okay. This is why it takes me so long to do cards, because I will just sit and infinitesimally mess with them on each section. I am putting that stencil just down into that tub I've got of water down the side. And I'm going to just gather myself for a second and figure out where I am. Okay. Embossing folder for that one. And you go there, you go there. All right, so you can see that here are some of my die cuts that I've got ready to go. And I have cut out the Spellbinders frame. I've layered it up. That's 2 layers so far, but I want a watercolor cardstock on top. So I'm just going to run this through the old Big Shot and I'll be back. And what I've done is, because it only cuts out the outside, I've taken one of my Waffle Flowers rectangles, and that's what we've got taped in the center. So just one moment. We'll be right back. Now that's just off to the other side. We've got 2 desks that have been put together, and we have black and tan desks, which I know are different than a typical craft room. Most people have theirs in white. A lot of people get the IKEA calyxes and other furniture to put in theirs, but it's just what we started out with, and I like the fact that it's got color, right? Okay, so tuck that aside too. So you can see that we've got to get out our pokey tool and get rid of all these little guys. And you can take this and run it along too, and it should poke some of them out. Now, the watercolor paper that I'm using is Canson XL. So it's a good, decent one. We were able to buy it at our Walmart for a while. They've stopped stocking it, so I'm not certain where I'm going to get it next. I guess I will either be getting the Altenew watercolor or stopping down at our local art supply store and seeing what they've got. And one of the ways that you can get the little fuzzies off of the sides, if you've got cutting plates that are older like myself, because as I said, I'm just not switching mine out yet. I'm saving them for one project that I want to finish out, where I want to have a really good impression. So what I do in the interim is I just flip it over to the back side, take a little bit of masking tape, and dab, 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 dab quickly. And it pulls up the majority of them. I don't know if you guys can see that, but those are all the little hairs that stick to the outside when your cutting plates start getting a little too used. And we'll just grab out some glue. I have got 2 glues mixed in this. I've got the Tombow and I've got the Simon Says Stamp, the Craft Tacky glue. I find the Craft Tacky glue is quite thick, and it gums up the nozzle on the fine tip nozzles quite a bit. Now, I also did recently receive the Secret Garden kit from Altenew for the Secret Garden that's coming up next weekend, I believe. Or no, 2 weekends from now. And they put one of their glues in there. So I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm excited to do that because it actually already has a fine tip nozzle on it. And it is nice for doing stuff like this. And then I will take my finger and just smooth it so that I don't have any big glops as I'm putting it down, and then those will ooze out around your edges. So I'll grab the back ones that I had and we'll just wiggle her into place. Sometimes when I'm doing the sentiments, I will offset them a little bit so that you get a shadow behind. You can add a few different layers behind doing that, and you can cause like a rainbow effect if you want to add in all the colors of the rainbow, or you can go with like a lighter one on top and darker one underneath. Whatever you desire, whatever goes with whatever particular project you're working on that time. Okay, it's done. Needed bigger block. And hello, Stella. And where are we at? Crystal. Hello, Crystal. Yeah, Angelique, I do. I have a rack next to me which has all of my mini blending brushes down below, my medium-sized blending brushes, the detailed ones here, and these are for the inks. The oxide rack is in the back because you have to have separate brushes for each of those. And I store my glue in the spare spots that I've got with the nozzle turned down so that when you grab it, it's just ready to go. So I found that that helped me for getting things into place properly. And I'm trying to think, is this... I think that is for that one. That's the shaker. Oh, I've got to get the card for that. I'm like, where's my next step? Sage, that's that one. Just grabbing my panel, guys. It should be dry by now. And luckily it hasn't curled too much as it is dried. That is the bonus with using the Canson XL because it is a thicker cardstock. Now I'm going to take the scissors and just clean up the edges a little bit. If you put it in a guillotine type of trimmer, you can actually smush some of the embossing paste, the texture that you've got on the top. So if you can, just do your little bit of cleanup with the scissors. Okay. And for this one, I did 2 die cuts. I think we're probably going to end up going with that green, which is the Kelly green from Altenew. I also tried the Aura one from Spellbinders, but it's not going to stand out good enough on the card. And those ones are foiled. And the other thing that you can do with a sentiment like that, once you've got it foiled, is you can go back over with an ink and you can match it to whatever color that you want through your project that you've got happening. So right now, to me, that doesn't look like it's going to stand out too well. I might get the shadow layer out and cut like a darker green to set behind it, but we'll see. So right now, grab our frame back out. So we're going to set him down into spot. The picture's going to go here. I trimmed out portions from that zero waste, the ornamental poppies. So you can see that I left one, I snipped part of it off, but you don't have to leave your die cuts the way that they came. You can change them. Jennifer does this all the time too, where she snips off the pieces that she doesn't want. So I can see that this one got ixnayed, so it's gone. And we'll just round that off a little bit. And then this one as well. Because what I'm trying to do is put a frame over the frame and carry on the swirly, ornate aspect that we have happening in the background on that one. So we're going to glue these two together. Hello, Michigan. Yes, because emailed her. I'm trying to think of which chat I see you in too. Is it Annette's or is it JC's? We see each other so much through all of the chats, don't we? Roberta, my gosh, Roberta, I see you in pretty much everybody's chat. And Carrie, you're a huge supporter too. And Angelique, when you're able to catch it, because of course, you, those of you that are in Europe are on a much different time zone from us, as are the ones in Australia. Like quite often we'll see them come in and a normal live stream for us is middle of the night for them and they're up and they're doing it. That is dedication. That is the neat thing too about our crafty community. Like, especially because with Altenew, they have got design team members all over the world. They have got educators all over the world. The Philippines, Australia, Spain, there's a couple in Britain, there's a couple in Canada here, India, Pakistan, several through the US. And the thing that's beautiful about it is that it's a global community. It takes away the borders. It's just, we're just here to make other people feel nice and to have some fun getting our fingers so that they end up looking like that, right? Okay, just give that a squash to get that glue to set quickly. Now, when you've done a little bit of die cut surgery and nipped your sides off, one thing that you can do to bring the embossing back in on it, that was a part that we cut. So if you take your bone folder and just go along the edges, it will help to round it again so that it doesn't stand out as much from the others. Okay, and you were going to go down like that. I was going to put something up there to hide that edge, or I could just nip it off. Hello, Mary! Yay, another Canada. We got several Canucks in today. I went and put it in one of our Canadian chat groups too, so really happy that we could make it. And most of us Canadians, because it's really difficult, unfortunately, crossing the border right now, we didn't have as much of an opportunity to go to Create as the people that are in the States, and very fortunate to be close to it. It's in Columbus, Ohio, isn't it, everybody? So I guess middle of the country. Okay, so we're going to set that. We're like that. And I have die cut out some of our open roses. And I will bring in the leaves just to show you. So you can see the texture that we ended up on this panel that we Sani smooshed. That's what Sharon called it, was Sani smooshing. So it's got texture, and you can see that I've die cut out the leaves of it already, and just to save time. And they do end up with really neat little patterns across them. So just another element of adding texture to your die cuts without you actually having to ink blend. You could go in with a detailed one and go up the middle and accentuate your veins, but I'm not going to do that because these are a background element and I don't want them to stand out as much. So we're going to try and quickly get some of the roses done here. This is one of the keyhole sets from Altenew. It's a really nice simple die that you can quickly whip up a flower with it. And I haven't die cut out the centers for it yet, but I am just going to line them up. And if you are not familiar with it, the keyhole system, they have got different little shapes in the middle, and typically as well, they will put a number. So it's layer number 1, layer number 2, layer number 3, so that you know what order to go in and which one they are to match. Or if it's one where there's not much room, they will put little dots in. There'll be 1 dot, 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots. And when you've got some sets that have got like 5 flowers or 6 or more elements to it, it does make it simpler for going. There's one that is an orchid die set, which, Carrie, was it you that warned me about that? Oh my gosh. I still haven't battled that one yet because it's got so many pieces. It's so intricate, but it's gorgeous. So now for the flowers, we're just going to bring in colors that we've got in the background. So I've still got my brushes out and the inks out. And we don't need the greens, so we'll just bring these guys out. And the orange. Oh, absolutely, Crystal. You know, with us all sharing ideas, it's how we bring each other up, right? I think of how much I've learned through everybody else. Carrie and Angelique and I and Liz, a bunch of you as well too. we attend workshops with each other and you just share ideas, and then you'll eclectically pull one little part of it and go, oh, hey, that works for me, I can do that on this one, right? Jennifer, I don't watch her lives as much anymore. I like watching her technique videos, and the same with Amy R, Prairie Paper and Ink, because you'll get just ideas on how to do stuff from other people. As I said, I just saw the thing with Sharon Luska a couple of weeks back with the Sani smooshing, and so I've been giving it a go lately, and it's my current obsession, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to do some more Sani smooshing. So just started out with a simple quick blend in the middle with the Snapdragon. One of these ones I want to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to go a little bit farther out with the pinks, and they will blend over top of each other. You think of petals in real life, that the tips quite often are a different color, that they are either lighter toned or they have got a darker color edge to them. So you can add more realism to your flowers by doing that. And if you just want to go really artsy fartsy, well, of course, then just use, like, do a Sani smooshing in a panel like this, but with colors that you want to use for your flowers, or just do an ink smooshed panel and die cut out of that. One that I like doing too is once I've got those panels done out, I'll put my stencil back over top and I will bring in the translucent crackle glaze and the solar paste, and I will go back over just with a little bit of stencil texture for those ones. You can tell that my mat is old. It's been washed many times, but it still does not have a very good stick left to it. This is one of the original waffle flower ones when they first started coming out with the idea, and then everybody else said, that's fabulous, let's run with that. I have to be careful that if I'm blending out towards the end, I don't get that spot where I've got my fingernail and I'll get an imprint there from blending up to my fingernail. Okay, that's pink. And we definitely need this one more pink, pink, pink. The smooshing technique. Dalise, this is ink smooshing. Sani smooshing is where you put your hand sanitizer down, you put your alcohol inks on it, you put your hand sanitizer blending solution, and you smoosh your panel down into it and you pull it up quickly so that it gets these lines in it from the hand sanitizer trapping the alcohol inks. So it's Sani smooshing. Okay, let's make these ones darker. We want these ones to be a little bit more pink. Pink is fairly close to an analogous color to orange, which is why I think that it's going to work with that panel. Still haven't decided what I'm going to do with that one. We might not get that card done, but I'll give you an idea on what was going to happen with it. That was going to be the one that was going to be more dramatic with a darker background. And if you've got a darker background to make your focal point stand out more, which would be the flower and the sentiment, you're going to want it to be a different contrast tone. So you're going to want it to be light. I'm going to just drag the brush on its side now just to get a couple of streaks on this one, just from the middle part. That's going to give the impression of a veining from the flower. A lot of flowers will have that. If you look at it in ultraviolet, as the bees do, which we cannot, but there are photographs that will show it. It's really neat in that the veins actually all do stand out in a different pattern, a different tone, quite a bit darker than the rest of the flower. And what it does is it guides the bees and the other pollinators into the center of the flower so that they are then able to pick up the pollen and everything else, the nectar, and head on their way. Not only helping us pollinate the planet and keep our flowers going and us alive, but also creating honey in the interim. And see, that's how quick you can, if you just want to do something really quick, and that's all we're trying to do today is, okay, I've just got to throw a card together quickly for Mother's Day. Sharon is Sharon Luska. She is on the design team for Scrappy Tales. She's got about 20,000 subscribers. She's totally sweet. She's in Ontario. Birds are driving the kitty crazy. I'm surprised. Ours are being so quiet. We live next to a forest, and the neighbors were out there in force yesterday. Sometimes we have to deal with chainsaws and that sort of stuff happening. Noisy neighbors. Because we're on a hill, things echo from the houses above us and bounce back down to us, and then there are a few levels below us as well. So it's always an adventure, but everybody's behaving themselves right now. Dallies, that's one of the other reasons why I picked this spot, because it's coming up 3:15 our time in the Pacific zone, and it tends to be around the supper time that the neighbors tend to get noisy. Okay, so you can see that I'm aligning that little keyhole that is in the center. And this glue is a little bit runnier. Now, one other thing that you could do is you could get out one of your ball tools. We could do that for the other flower. And you could shape the petals a little bit more. But I'll just continue on with this one. I don't always put them down in the order that they are listed for layering unless it's very obvious that the back one is the biggest one, and then it gets smaller as you go towards the front. But I found that these sets are so versatile that you can layer them and they look good pretty much always. Yes, Kathy, that's exactly right. Oh, Mary, you're in Ontario too. Excellent. Yeah, I'm one of the few that's out on the West Coast, actually. Angelique, we were giggling about this in the Altenew fan group for the Secret Garden. Angelique got her kit for the Secret Garden more than a week before I got mine, and I'm in Canada, and all they had to do was send it from the US. But I think it's because it went all the way from where Altenew is way over to the east coast, New Jersey, and then it had to fly up to Quebec, and then it had to fly all the way over to Vancouver, and then it had to go back into the middle of BC, which it probably, I guess, had more travel time than yours did, Angelique, but it was just funny. It's like, okay, because I know that if I was able to do an order with Altenew, that typically they take 2 to 3 weeks for me. And I've seen other people get theirs within 3 days in the domestic US. So it just all depends on where we are in the world. But really, for the most part, when you consider how the packages are going, they're pretty quick. So, okay. So all I did with this one was if you put it down and you just roll the ball, it's got a felt pad that you push into, and they've got different size balls. I tend to use the biggest one. It will help to cup the paper. It's almost like you're sort of embossing it with the ball. The other thing you can do is if you want the edges to flip back, push it over to the other side. And I would do this if we had a bigger flower, but this one's not quite big enough to do. And then you take one of the balls, this hopefully smaller, you go along the edge and it will cup it back in the other direction. So you will actually get that kind of a movement in your petal. So we're going to chuck that back over there. And now it's just gluing them together. And I still have to cut out some middles. I like doing the pistils and the stamens in a glitter type, typically for the center. I might do green this time though, because we do have green in the background there. I could actually use some of our Sally smooshing dollies and bring that green back in that we've got in the background. And let's see. Yeah, Carrie, I would think that you would get yours really quickly because you're so close to where Altenew is located. Roberta, you've got a week, sometimes two. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Color Loving Canuck, that the heat here in the West Coast. Um, what was it? We were getting La Nina or El Nino. It's the one that causes the heat domes. And I know that, like Jimmy Kimmel, I watch him in the evening, and Stephen Colbert, keeping abreast of what's happening in the world. And Jimmy Kimmel was talking about the heat dome that they had in California. Was it in March? And they were getting temperatures of 95 through 100? Oh my gosh. No, thank you. No, we Canucks, we like it, no more than 20, 25. So we joke that when it starts getting beyond that, we start melting. I've been in shorts for 2 months already because I guess just because we're acclimated to the more northern areas. And Meta, you would kind of be the same as well with where you are over in Europe. And Angelique, I don't think that where you are that it's too hot there either, because actually because that's a flat area and it's near the sea, it would be regulated by that. But yeah, okay, so we've got these guys and we're going to bring him up there. I am just grabbing my die cuts. Just one moment, guys. I'm rifling through the stack that I have thrown to the other desk. Just going, it's such a mess. So these are the center die cuts for these. And you can see that there'll be a base. And then you put the other one over top. And all of the Altenew packages, they've got a layering guide. So they show you what order you're supposed to do them in and what you're supposed to do with the other sections. So let's just bring old Pink back in. And shove that up there. Okay. You can go there. Throw you on the floor. So you can see this is one of my dryer sheets that I just laid down. It does help with a little bit of the fuzzies. And for the center, so we're going to want a darker green than what we use for the leaves. So I think I will just pop it down here. That's the top one. Okay. And we just need this done twice. Okay, pokey tool. I typically have the triangle trays that I use for putting in all the little bits and bobs that you've got, so that you don't have them flying all over your desk. Okay, and here's my other little piece. Bring it up. Now we'll find another couple of candidates. That is our top one. We went dark with that. We're probably going to bring some ink in over top of it too. Another trick of the trade, if you do not want to get the pattern from the bottom side of your cutting plate, on your paper, or if you only want to do partial die cut, just move your plates along so that they only cover the portion that you're wanting to cut, and then the other part of your paper won't pick up texture, and you can use it for another project in the future. And this is the part where sometimes my longish nails come in handy grabbing these things out, and then other times they don't because it's hard to grip things with them. So here we are. Okay, and then basically it's just gluing these ones together too, deepening the color if you don't feel it's dark enough. And I might... So what I'm doing right now is I'm auditioning colors to see what I want to put up against that panel, and that's probably going to go with that dark green Mother's Day in the Kelly green. I'm thinking Mossy Meadow. Okay, so all right, those two are the tops. These are the underlayers. These are the ones that are going to cover the underlayers. And I need a darker green. Let's just go in with a bit. Just give it a quick dab, just to darken up at least the top one. Get your glue back out again. Annie, your greyhound? Oh, but they're a thin-skinned animal, Dallies. 70 degrees. I think we're warmer than you, Roberta. Can somebody please and thank you real quick pop 29 Celsius in a Fahrenheit converter, and let's see what we're sitting at. Yeah, and we did not get our typical winter. We had it only try snowing a couple of times. There have been times where, because as I said, we are on the side of a mountain, we've had 19 inches of snow in 6 to 8 hours. And this winter, practically nothing. And it didn't stick. '84. Thank you, Catherine and Delis and Carrie. Portland, very close. Oregon is just 2 states down below us, Catherine. Yeah. You think of how the Cascade Mountains run all the way along the West Coast. So we quite often get the same weather that Washington State does. Yeah, and we're inland. We're not Vancouver, so we are about an hour and a half outside of Vancouver. So we don't consider ourselves coasters because that's what the Vancouver people are. They're the city folk. We're still country folk out here. Okay, so this is the top layer that's going on. Just smear some glue around on it. Line them up. Okay, grab one of the roses, grab the other rose. Let's dab a little bit in the middle to get these guys in here. How are we doing? 3:30. Oh my goodness. I think we're only going to get the one card done, but I'll show you what was going to happen with the other one. So we'll pop that guy in. Pop this guy in here. Okay. And this was going to go here. Those guys were the other one. 1, 2. There are some leaves that are in the frame set, which are just what I use these for. And the other leaves are the ones that are in the open rose set. I chose ones that had a small size so that I can put these over top as well. So we're just going to start trying to assemble. Or maybe I can just put that aside. No, you want to. Oh, now you're being fussy. Okay, first things first. Don't worry about that yet. Put that over there for that one. And let's get the frame down first. Now I'm going to get the thicker glue out for this, for the frame, because it's got to go over top of the embossing paste and the embossing powders and the embossing glazes. And you can see that you've got texture there. I didn't make it too thick. For ones that are really, really thick, where you want to make certain that it's going to stick, you could get something out like your ultra sticky tape. I find that really helps adhere it down to this. Otherwise, you would be using like just a really good tacky glue, and I'm going to need that in a moment anyways. So, and this is the problem that I find with this Simon Says Stamp Craft Tacky Glue, is that it tends to clog really quickly because it is so thick. So we're just going to go around our edges. I find that I do this in a really haphazard pattern. I think it's because my brain has got so many tangents always happening in it. But that works well for mixed media, right? It's like, oh, you could do this, and you could do this, and you could do this. And speaking of doing that, I'm just going to put that aside for a moment, because you know what? Let's add some splatter. If it looks like we're only getting the one card done, we might as well put some splatter in there. Okay, so what color am I going to want? Now, Sugary Gumdrop is very close to the peaches that we've used. This is one of the Distress mica stains. So it's got mica down in the bottom. It's got a ink stain in the middle, but you do have to shake it because you can see that it sits around the bottom after it's been there for a while when you haven't used it. And if you don't shake it up, the nozzle, the first few pumps that you try doing, it will clog. And then it doesn't flow again after. You can put it under a hot water bath in the sink, but I've got two that don't work anymore because I didn't shake them well enough. And it works to shake them like a bell or back and forth if you still need to free up that bearing that is inside. So you can see that that is draining a little bit better off the bottom. Now, most of the time I don't spray when I'm splattering. I just tend to tap off a little bit, and I'm going to run it along the same areas that we've got those pink and orange shades happening, and we'll leave the green alone. We'll tuck that back up. Throw the old splat box down. And now, let's see. That's one of my, this is probably still good with the glue, but I'll just give it a wee bit more on the inside. It's going to squish into those sections, the spaces behind the embossing paste anyways. And I am just going to eyeball this. Now, I would have gotten my old sewing machine out too, and if I were to have gotten the sewing machine out and used it, I would have ran it up and down to the sides because I'm going to be doing a vertical composition on this one where it's going to have a strip along either side. And you can see that I've got some of that up on top of my white because I didn't let it dry. But accidents happen. This is where you put a flower or something else over top of it, right? Those of you that got T-rulers, wonderful tool for making certain that you're straight. Flip it to the side. And I'm aligning it with that inner edge. And that's not too bad. Okay, and because I don't want to have another catastrophe happen, I'm going to pick up the mica spray that has not dried yet. One go, and up. And great. Okay, so now I'm going to have to flip it around to the other side or get a new piece because I didn't get it all. I've got the stuff still sitting around the frame that is wet. That one is really wanting to be stubborn. It must be Scottish, like my heritage. Okay. So we'll bring in the overframe that we've got from the ornamental poppies, and I don't like the tone on that. So, see, and this is the thing about mixed medias. You can get it down and then you realize, oh, I just don't like that one section. Do you see how this has got a grayer white than this one, which is a whiter white? So what I'm going to do is try compensating for it by adding in some pink and seeing if that helps to color correct it up a little bit. One is a cool white, the other is a warm white. Oh, the T-rulers carry? Oh yeah, I've got 3 of them. I've got 2 6-inch ones and one 12-inch one. You will notice as you get older and you start developing like the astigmatism and the old age farsightedness where, you know, you have to do long arm syndrome, that the T-rulers are really good for just making certain that everything's tickety-boo with getting especially your sentiments into place or something that is framed. Now, if I was setting that into place and I just wanted it to be like a wonky style of frame, then I would set it down at whatever angle and just let it go. I should have had the block on top of that. Okay, that can compensate. Yeah, no. Sorry, girl is fussing still here. Girl's fussing. She is just gonna bring some pink in too. Okay, and while we're at it, put you guys over there. I'm giving my hand a spritz with a little bit of water. I'm going to cause it to do a little bit of water spotting. And most of the inks nowadays are water reactive and react pretty quickly to that. Now, because there's not that much water on it too, it should dry pretty quickly. Okay, she is what she is. We'll set her down. Get that one glued in. Valid point, Mary. Yeah, about setting everything wonky. One of my favorite, die sets right now for, trimming around the outside is from Prism Studios, which is a Canadian company, and it's another one of the versions of, like, the wonky stitched rectangles. Just r really nice. That's the other reason why I like grabbing out the old sewing machine, which we didn't do today because if you've heard a lot of my videos, you guys know that it's a bit of a squealer. I've had it since I was a teenager because I got it when I got one of my first horses, which was like 11 or 12 years old. So I had had horses the majority of my life. We just lost my last and just quirkiest and bestest girl, about just about a year and a half ago now, and I still miss her. But I had the sewing machine because I needed it for my horse blankets to do repairs on the horse blankets. And it's been an old war horse, and she just squeals when you get her going, but she does go through the heavier paper, which is excellent. Okay, so I have added another layer up in putting that frame from the ornamental poppies that we cut out. So it's a swirl element. It's a swirly type of frame. It's another swirl over top of it. So it's creating a unity of elements that you've got, the same way that we're using the pinks, the oranges, and the greens with this one. So we will bring in the picture there. These guys, I'm just going to see if I can give them a little bit of a burnish here, just to bring them up a wee bit. Now, one of the other things I would do at this time too is I would get out some of the solar paste and one of my very fine brushes, and I will vein along the edges of the flower petals like this. And that's one of the ways that you can get the shimmer on your petals. One of the other things that you can do, you can see I have the shimmer relief paste out. This one is the pearl. You can add any color to this and make it any color, basically. I also have one of the darker ones. It's more of a pewter tone. That one works really good for background stencils, but this one, it's so versatile. And I was going to use it for the other card for the leaves, where after the leaves were done, I was going to mix that up with a bit of green and just do a slight brush across the edges. Very watery, let it dry, and then you will get this really interesting sheen just on the portions that you've put it. Jennifer McGuire had one video where she was using the clematis dye, and she did it on the centers of the clematis, and it glowed. She had some purples and some burgundies and some maroons into the pinks, and just gorgeous, gorgeous cards that came out of that. So all sorts of stuff. There's too many techniques to throw in at one card, and that's where I've been teaching myself to rein back rather than putting 20 through 30 layers on a card. It's like, no, go back to more simple. This one is still a bit more ornate than I have been doing lately. But I'm getting there. I'm trying to do clean and simple a little bit more. And clean and simple is different from minimalist. That clean and simple, literally, you only have a quarter of the card covered and very little bling. You're allowed to have like 5 sequins kind of thing, and just basically, your stamp and a dice, like a sentiment, and minimal bling over only a teeny portion of the card. No background embossing. So this is definitely not clean and simple. Minimalist is where you kind of have just a few elements, but across the whole card. So I know that there's a lot of confusion about that in the groups. I was confused. There's one lady on Instagram, Nancy Elrock. I think she goes by Nanty. She started running a clean and simple hop, and several of us here in the chat, we know each other from the Instagram hops. And she explained the rules to all of us, and I didn't know that. I was like, whoa, I learned so much just even in about 3 months from her on how to actually do the clean and simple style versus what we call clean and simple but is actually minimalist. So we are going to grab out an assortment of our leaves now. And I need one of these sprigs. So we can set him like that, and Mother's Day. Now you can see that the green one is sort of there. Do you see how that one completely fades into the background and it doesn't stand out? If you put a dark green shadow or a dark pink or a dark orange shadow behind that, you could probably make it stand out better. But the Happy Mother's Day, it's so similar in tones to what you have with the light pinks and peaches that it still, in my view, just disappears a bit too much. So I am going to go with the green one and end up setting it over top. And how are we doing for time? 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm using the frame to brace it on this side. So it looks as if it's got foam squares behind it, but it doesn't. We will take some of our leaves here now and tuck them in behind first before setting the flower on top. Same thing, I'm still using the craft tacky glue because it does have to stick down to all of that embossing paste and the glazing and powders that we put down. This is the part that you guys don't see when I'm doing my videos, because I will fuss with arranging stuff for the longest time. This one or that one? Oh, that one. Much better. I think actually for this one, just to make certain that it sticks, I am going to bring out a bit of the sticky tape. And I've got one pair of scissors that I use for this, because this stuff really does gum up your scissors, but oh, it sticks really well. So I just need it in a couple of portions. Okay, we are going to split the decision there and tuck it down here. I don't want it showing behind that one gap that we've got there on that one petal. This is where my nails do not come in handy. Tweezers for the wind. I think I've got 4 pairs of reverse tweezers, different brands. I tend to use the honeybee ones the most. You can tell that they as well have endured many ink splooshies. Press and seal. Yes. Mary, same here. I had some arrive. The paper glitzes, half of the order was dried out when it got to me. The ones that have glitter in, especially, are the ones that dry out really quickly. The Altenew ones, it's really, really buttery. I've had mine. When did they come out, Carrie and Angelique? Was it a year or so ago, wasn't it? And they started out with about 6, and now we've got, what, about 20 or something? Of the different colors of those. Okay. And I think I'm going to continue on with these guys and tuck one of these ones in behind. You see how this one is a lighter color too? It's going to help give that impression that it's a little bit farther back. in the background because its color is lighter, and the leaves we've got down there at the bottom are darker, so it gives them the impression that they're more in the forefront. Oh, and we are clogged again. That's how quickly it will do it. And you saw that we had it turned upside down too. Okay, so I am angling the leaves to this side. I'm trying to follow that bit of a swirl. So your eye's going to come in like this. It's going to start swirling down. It's going to come around. This is going to help you catch back in a swirl this way, as well as you can see that the stencil just happened per chance to swirl back around. So we've got a natural swirl spot right there. And that is going to be a good spot to put that Mother's Day sentiment. So I think that's what we're going to do next. I've got a natural bridge happening here between, I can set it onto the picture on this side and onto the swirl on this side and not have to worry about what it's doing in the center. So we'll just tack a little bit of glue down to either end and bring it in, put it down. There's one thing that I learned from Kathy Zilski where she talks about the rule of thirds. You have that in photography as well. Now she's got grids that you can download from her blog. I think Simon Says Stamp, I think they're also selling them now where they've got these grids where it's marked. And rule of thirds, that these are the points that your eye is going to get drawn to. And we are pretty close to where that bottom third is down on this side. I think I might actually have to get some more sticky tape out for that because it's not wanting to stick. So you see that that is using the focal point for the sentiment for your composition. So they do have different sizes. They have got the 1 inch, the 1/2 inch, and I am looking for the 1/4 inch one, which is this one. So you can see it's still not glued. This is probably because of the embossing paste that's here and having a slick surface. And this is probably because it's another bit of watercolor, and the watercolor, it's so good at absorbing moisture that it has absorbed the moisture from the glue without it actually wanting to stick. So I'm going to trim some down here. And I've got another trick here too. If you have the old backing papers that come off your adhesive, double-sided adhesive, you can put this down on it because I'm going to have to nip this in half, or at least about there. It's going to help your scissors from gumming up. So you just put it on your backing, cut, and there you are. Actually, I'll just flip it around and do it in the other direction because this side is thicker. So now it fits in. We'll just cut it there. And now if you've got an end that's sticking out here too, because this is a double-sided tape, once you peel the backing up, you can come in with your scissors, your fingernail, or the tweezers, and you can push it into spot, and you are still not stuck. You stuck there? There we are. Who else talks to their crafts as they're doing them? How are you doing? Oh, you're so cute. You're so pretty. So I'm going to check from the front that that portion isn't showing, and there's a wee bit of it that is. So we'll take the reverse tweezers and roll it back on itself so that it's on the inside. I'm just going to put a bit of wiggle room back on that tape. And we'll put that aside for the next project. And we'll just put them back into spot. So bringing it over. And you can see I've got the swirl with this little portion coming out this side. I'm not going to bother getting the T-ruler out for that. We'll tuck those guys away. Scissors up. Okay, I'm just going to give it a bit of weighting. And I already had the card for the inside set, so we'll roll through this real quick and see if I can get it done in 6 minutes, guys. So I like doing the ombres on my ink sentiments. So I start out with a base layer that is quite light. Make certain you haven't got any little fuzzies in there, which that one did. When you've got a fine sentiment here, don't push too hard. Okay, so we've got first layer down. And I'll bring in the pink. And I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom. I am going to bring out my pink brush again and just tap, 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 tap. Because we want the emphasis to be on Mother for Mother's Day. Okay. I'm going to grab out the orange. And when you're doing the ombres on the sentiments, you can do them linear, or you can do them in patches, or you can highlight specific words. So if I had a word that was in a different font, like a script font right in the middle, and the others were in a Helvetica type font, like Son Courier or something like that, I would ink up the one script that I wanted to highlight, and then either take the brush and wipe all the way around the outside, or take a rag and wipe all the way around the outside so that only that one word is getting highlighted. And get our orange out. And I am going to go back in across everything with a yellow now. Yellow will push the inks out and cause it to have a halo effect around the outside once the ink's dry. And you can see that it brought a little bit more color down into those ones down in the bottom, right? So that they stand out a little bit better. And let's bring a bright pink in. So we really want Mother to stand out. So we are going to go in with a darker pink across that. Grab our pink one out. Make certain that this is pretty wiped down on these ones. And just give that a shot. And you'll see it's going to deepen it up quite a bit. There you go. Okay. I'll just set that aside. And then all we need to do, guess what? I just spilled all my shaker stuff over on the other side. That was catastrophe number what? 11 or something now. We want this one to be something that's from your heart, because this is a Mother's Day. And I'm thinking that our tones will do a roll. We're going to custom stamp with the orange, and then I'm going to roll just a little bit on the bottom with the rubelite, the pink. Okay, get it lined up here. Grab your middle point-ish. It's a handmade card. You know it's got mistakes on it. There we are. I've got 7 of those hanging on the side. And Angelique and Carrie, this week, I finally got a custom stamp from Altenew. Wow, I was really impressed. I was like, wow, I finally got one. Okay, I'm just going to reinforce the fold. I find that because I'm using the Nina Classic Crest Solar White, this is a 110-pound cardstock, that even though I've had it scored, that it tends to want to come back out again. And so this one, I'm thinking because we've got a little bit of curvature in that panel, let's grab the big guns out, guys. And we are going to put the ultra sticky tape down on the back. And then I'm going to have one go for setting it into place. And I've got 1 minute to stick it down. Or we can pretend that, oh, okay. Oh, and then bling, 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 bling. Well, Dalise, is it okay if I go over a couple of minutes, or you already jumped to the next person? I just got to finish out the bling bling on this before I set it into place. This is what I do when I want to get my mind out of its fussing. I will just let them fall where they want to, as long as they are pretty much in spots that we want. And that one doesn't look. For the most part, it works, but there are times when you do have to go in with a couple of adjustments. So you can see that we've, aside from the swirl we've got happening, we also have a diagonal that's going through that center. And that is kind of what I'm wanting to accentuate. There. Oh, Kimberly, hello, hon. Hello, hon. Okay, thank you, Dalise. I'm sorry, I can't remember who's after me. Dalise did so much work organizing this, everybody. She created graphics. She had what was that site that you set us all up in, where we could go in and update with our links once we'd created the lives and whatnot, and just organizing everybody on Facebook as well. There's a group that was there too. I think some of you have come from that group. I'm so impressed, Dalise, with the amount of work that you've put into this, especially with it having been such a busy time for you too, and transformational time. But what just such a caring, considerate idea to do this for the people that were unable to attend Create, either by not being able to travel to the US, or just the expense of it, or, work commitments kind of. So, yeah. That's the beautiful thing about our crafting community, is everybody's sticking together. And I'm almost thinking it needs one more down there. When we get this done, I am probably going to look at them and go, oh, I need to pull that one off because it's not in the right spot. You see? Okay, and I will just cut out now some of the ultra sticky tape for the back. This as well, if you've got a panel that has really warped, either from having been sprayed, or maybe it's a watercolor panel that you've done, or maybe you've embossed it and it's got a bunch of the debossed texture on the other side so that it's not sticking fully to your card, this will help to flatten it out for putting it down. And now, because I don't really want to flip the card over just yet, I am going to adhere the sticky tape to the card base now that I know roughly where my idea is. And this stuff is so strong that you do not need many strips of it. So I'm going to do one on either side and then one up the middle, and with a little bit of glue and little wiggle room with the glue, and it will help to slide things around while you are setting it into spot. Okay, now I always feel like I'm wrestling with an old lunge line when I do this. Anybody that knows horses, when you lunge them and you've got a lunge line that's 30 feet long, and you're trying to ravel it back up, and they get knots in. It's like Christmas lights. So just trying to get everything back in the spot. Okay, here. So what I spilled over on the other side, I had a tray with the shaker mix that I was going to do for that card. Sorry for not getting that one done. I'm pretty impressed that we actually even got this one done. Okay, we're going to go for the other one. Other glue. And I spilled them. But it wouldn't be me if I wasn't making a big mess of some form. Okay, so this is the looser glue. You can see it's got a much more runny consistency to it. So hopefully that's going to give me enough wiggle room to get this into spot. And double check that your sentiment is right side up. Ask me how I know that one. So now we know that we had a 1/4 inch play on either side. So if you set your bottom into place and then press up, ta-da! That is it. Kelly! Hello, friend. You were just finishing up. But so there we are, guys. That is sort of that card. This one, I was going to do an ink blend in dark, dramatic tones all across the back of that panel. And then I was going to come in with the stencils and deepen them up. That was the one that I was thinking of using the sprays and letting them run down and pool in the pockets between the embossing. And the glitter cardstock that we did at the beginning with the alcohol ink on it, I was going to die cut that out and inset the mum in here so that it's a glitter alcohol inked sentiment. And then the shaker card, it was see, I even had the inside done on that one. Too funny. This is a double shaker card. So it has the small panel underneath, which was going to set down with the shaker bits in it. That I was going to blend out depending on what color we ended up being. This one fits over top like this. And what I did was, when I was putting the foam down on the back, this is 2 layers here around the outside, but when it comes to this corner, it was cut out so that everything would be flush that way. So you would have the shaker in behind there, the small one with the shaker bits in it. And then this one, I was going to put other shaker bits in. You've got like one flower insert in between. This was going to come up here, and then we were going to do something with this, right? But that one was going to be really set down with dark tones. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm going, maybe we need to go in the other direction. Maybe we need to go light with that one. But I will play with that one later. That was the general concept. I will post pictures of that when I do get that one done. And in the meantime, I'll show you this one. So happy Mother's Day. So every mother deserves a rose, right? And you could put a sub sentiment underneath that too. There's some of the really tiny strips or that they've got for the better press plates, or you could just grab out one of your stamp sets and find one of the smaller ones in the block letters for underneath. Again, doing it, you could do it like a green strip with white on top of it to reverse what you got happening with your main sentiment. And then you open it up on the inside and you got mother with your sentiments down, and of course, room for your message at the back, at the bottom, and then your custom stamp on the back. And this one, like I say, it was going to be a double shaker with like a full colored background. And as I said, now I'm probably going to do something different, but that was the inside. So you can see that that one I was going for darker tones, that I'll probably bring in some reds and some oranges to deepen that one up, because that one was going to be a little bit more dramatic. So there we are. A little bit of shiny, shiny, bling, bling. A little bit of shiny in the background. A little bit of oyster shell bling, bling on the thing. I might brush onto those petals a little bit of solar paste too to add a little bit more shine. Or maybe I'll bring the shimmer paste in on that one. I'll get some photographs with my light box. I will post them to Instagram and the Facebook page. And again, first off, huge thanks to Stamper Girl Dalise for organizing this for all of us. Thank you to all the rest of you that have come in and joined us. Robin, you made it! um, from the Facebook group, and for those of you that have joined for subbing, and all my old, super, just wonderful crafty friends, Carrie, Kelly, Robin, Roberta, Angelique. I can't even remember who else have I got in here. Everybody that's in here. Thank you guys for doing this with me. And now that I have, maybe I will get back into the swing of it and start doing some lives. Everybody, just to give you a heads up, Kelly Wicker Cards has got a channel as well. She is getting equipment to do lives too. I'm trying to think. Angelique, you've got a bit of a channel. You let me know if you need help with the videos, hun. Carrie, I think you're staying with Instagram, right? Stamper Girl's got lives. Dalise, how many times is it? It's several times through the week, isn't it? Not as much as Andrea, but you're on quite a bit, especially the Crafty Friday nights. And Meta, she has her lives as well. So yeah, if we all just support each other and just, hey, let's be that change we want to see in the world. Okay. All right. So thanks again, everybody. And at least we got one card done. Okay. And you can pop back to the Facebook group and see who is up next. And we'll catch you all guys next time. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.